In this segment, Dr. Janowitz talks about the importance of mentors, coaches, leaders, and teachers who serve as our role models. Dr. Janowitz, tell us more about these role models who can make up our dream team.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to be on the show again, and it's amazing. I just actually got off the phone with my childhood chiropractor, my mentor in my career, Dr. Elliot Grusky, who I refer to a lot in the book. You know, having your dream team with your health really involves looking at all the areas of health. I mean, we tend to focus on the areas that we are good at and what we like, but you got to look at this thing in terms of 3 or 4 major areas. One is you look at the chemical aspect. You look at the emotional aspect. You look at the physical or structural aspect, and of course the spiritual aspect. So at least if you can break it down in those areas, you can start to see, do I have a mentor or a leader or a role model helping me with my chemical aspect, which could be my nutrition, right? So you can focus on it from a nutritional standpoint, or you can focus on it from a pharmacological standpoint by having a medical doctor or an internal doctor help you with that, or a nutritionist or a counselor. If you're looking at the emotional aspect, well, that can be having someone as a professional counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, right? So getting the emotional aspect, or just having great relationships, which are just so important. Other areas, of course, are looking at the structural aspect, and that's where things like chiropractic work so well, by making sure that the structure of your body is in a good position, or a physical therapist helping you, massage therapists, really covering those basic aspects there, but teaching you and guiding you, not just doing the things to you, but being a role model for you. And then, of course, we need our spiritual leaders too, our pastors, our people of faith that can help us to see things that maybe we're not seeing in that light, and educating us and inspiring us. So having role models, I think, in all those areas really create that dream team for your health.
Well, I think it's important that you mention all those areas, because a lot of the times people think they need one role model, but that's really a misconception. There are many different role models that we need, just as you just explained.
Yes.
And every single one of those categories is equally important for us to function.
That's right. I mean, there's definitely a shortage for role models, and a lot of people struggle in how to even find one, right?
Right, which leads me to my next question. If someone doesn't have a role model or a dream team of role models, how can they find one, or how can they find their team?
Yeah, well, you know, this all goes back to the Synergy Success Cycle. So we're going to talk about that repeatedly, because it's important for the listeners to know that this cycle is in action. It exists in their life. So the first thing is getting clear as to what your talents are. You know, what are your values? You know, your values will dictate the role models that you are attracted to. So knowing your values, your health perspectives, and your preferences there. And then getting clear on your vision and your purpose and your goals, which we talked about in other segments. Knowing those two things, your power and knowing your purpose, are going to act as a magnet to attract those role models, because you cannot seek that which you don't know you're looking for, right? If you don't have that awareness. So the first thing is getting clear as to what it is that you want, and then start talking about that. The more you talk about, hey, I'm really into this, and I'm really liking this, and I'm really valuing this, then those people around you are going to say, you know, you really need to watch this podcast, or you need to listen to this person, or get this book, or you need to meet my friend who does this. And so the more we become aware, the more we become clear within our own selves and start expressing that. You have to let the world know what you're looking for, and then it will suddenly appear in some magical ways, right? And so just having an appreciation that, so it's getting clear and then getting the word out, and then finding a way to create relationship with those people, finding ways to, number one, if you want someone to create value in your life, and you want a relationship with that person, you have to think, how can I add value to them in their life? It doesn't have to be a paid value, right? It doesn't have to pay for things. So maybe you just do things to help with that person. So for example, when I was in my career in chiropractic, on my day off, I met and became in relationship with this other chiropractor who was just serving at a very high level. And I worked for him for free just so I can learn and be mentored by him to be able to get that knowledge. So I'm all for volunteering time and energy for understanding to help me grow as a person in my health and my career, my relationships, any of those areas. So just focus on how can you create value for that mentor and then it's a fair exchange where then they can create that. But mentors naturally want to help you. The thing about it as a mentor, I've mentored lots of people, is they're saying to themselves, and I know I have, is this the person I want to pour into?
Right.
Is this the person that I want to share and I want to give and I want to help people grow, which is why I wrote the book, to serve as kind of like a mentor piece. But if I'm going to spend my time, which of course we all have limited time, is this the person that I want to pour into? And if they can show that enthusiasm, that passion, that excitement, and they can somehow add some value in the relationship, right? Then I want to pour into them. So that would be my advice.
Excellent. And when in doubt, maybe just ask, right? What value you can add to their service or their life.
Yes, because you never know what that person is needing right now.
Right.
Because a person who's functioning at a high level is always going to have a need for someone to fill in some sort of gap, and that according to their mission and their vision, right?
So do you have a lot of people asking you to mentor them, especially after writing this book?
I do. And I get to speak at UCF, so I speak for the College of Medicine. So I mentor people from a chiropractic health perspective, but then I get to speak to the business school and I teach them about the business of running a chiropractic office. So I get to mentor people in that way too. So I get a lot of questions. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it.
I know that you do. Now, you said you spoke at a lot of events. You're a public speaker.
Yes.
That brings us to another type of role model. So a lot of the times we know our role models, but our role models may not know us in return. Tell us what that relationship looks like.
Sure. Well, some of my best and favorite mentors don't even know I exist.
Exactly.
Like people like, say, Grant Cardone. I've been to some of his seminars and I love his stuff. I've read his books multiple times. Or Tony Robbins, one of my big early mentors in my life, and just other thought leaders. So, with technology today, there are so many ways to get in connection with somebody. So you can listen to their podcast, like many of you are listening to this one or watching it on YouTube. Or, you can go to seminars. So you have to really seek those ways out. They don't have to know you, but you can consume their information. And when someone writes a book and you read that book, you're reading literally, years of thought and intention, and you can compress that for $20 or something. It's just an amazing thing, or free on a podcast. I mean, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I often wonder what my conversation would be like with Tony Robbins, because I know him, but he doesn't know me.
Right. I mean, the thing about these guys that I've learned in doing this for the years, it's not always the what they're doing, it's the mindset behind that. If you can learn somebody's psychology of success, that tells you really, to me, you'll develop your own how. And we'll talk about process later on. But if you can understand the mindset behind the patient or behind the mentor, that's going to really help you to really achieve that. And that's why we start with the Synergy Success Cycle with power. Like, what is their personal level of power? Like, how did they get that way? How did they overcome their limiting beliefs that they have, that we all have? How did they really get clarification in their values and their vision and their goals? What happened in their life to make them say, that's it, I changed my standard, which again, we'll talk about as well.
Right, exactly.
It's all intertwined. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to personal coaches, do you think that people should hire coaches? Where do you stand on that category?
Sure. Well, you have to have a budget of either time or energy or finances towards your mentors and towards coaches. Now, I believe that one of the fastest ways that you can get to a level of success is to find someone that is aligned with your values and your vision, and you can be in close proximity with them. And again, if you're working with that person, they're typically a high capacity person. So I have no problems whatsoever in investing my finances in mentors. So I'll pay for a personal trainer. I'll pay for a business coach, I'll pay for a life coach, I'll pay for health coaches. So I'll pay for all those things because I don't consider them as costs. I consider them as accelerators to get me closer to my vision of where I am to where I want to be. It's all about closing the gap. So if I can either pay to close that gap faster, I'll do that. Or if I can use time to do that. If I don't have the resources, well then time and energy. It might take me longer, but I'm willing to do that. But I can accelerate that with finances as well.
Right. And of course, it's the theory of leveraging time.
Absolutely.
You accelerate the process of where you're trying to go, but you also leverage your time in the process.
100%, 100%.
Well, very well. Thank you so much. Again, you're talking about duplicating processes, and that's what the Synergy Health Cycle is about.